Hello, my name is Chris Snipes, and you are listening to The Melt.
Okay. This video is long overdue, but I was looking on the walls in my office. And on the walls in my office hung my degrees. And I was so proud of my degrees. They sat in my office in these really expensive frames, and they just represented this like distinguished labor, and it was something special. And I kept bringing it from apartment to apartment and then office to office. And then I'm sitting there looking at them and I'm like, these were an absolute waste of my time and money. I used nothing of what this $500,000 in education exhausted me with. I used none of it. But they sat on walls like taxidermy heads. And people be like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a moose I shot once. What's it have to do with me? Absolutely nothing, but look what I did once. Isn't it cool? It was like these like bronzed balls that we had on walls, and they're so trivial, especially in health and medicine. And here's the problem. We put too much stock behind the degree. All three of them. 3 pieces of paper here. Holy shit. These are a big deal. We put so much stock. There is nothing, no degreed person knows more about what you need for you. Let me repeat that. There is nobody with a degree. The degree gives nobody any more knowledge, any more experience than what you know that you need for you to heal, to adapt, to evolve to the environment you put yourself in for your days. That's a fact. But we put so much stock into these degrees like they measure anything, like it was some astounding feat. I'm going to tell you right now, a level just above chimp could have fucking got these 3 degrees. Bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and fucking chiropractic. Chimp degrees. All you needed really was to just like be in a seat and let your loans clear. Just bide your time. You can moonwalk into degrees. The university system, don't even get me started, but in healthcare, holy shit. Allopathic medicine, forget about it. They're done. And if we can't figure that out now with everything going on around us, and I'm not even talking for trauma care, I want them done. They're done. Over. It's over. They're crashing and burning. It's over. What's being exposed now? But the naturopathic world, the chiropractic world, all these other degrees there, do you really think those schools would be able to exist if they actually taught people how to get people in positions to heal? There's people sharing information that is more pertinent to somebody healing themselves, and they're being deleted. Do you really fucking think that a school is going to exist? What? Those schools exist because they're playing the game. Big Pharma, American Medical, all the people you see pulling the strings throughout this whole fairy tale are allowing these schools to hang out because they play by their rules. What's their rules? Symptom-based care. Diagnose. Label. Only instead, throw a bunch of passive treatments. Let's see if we can capitalize on them. Throw a bunch of herbs, a bunch of supplements, a bunch of parasite cleanses. Fuck me. A bunch of other things. Label, diagnose, reduce symptoms. Same formula as allopathic, but you're over here. You have to be a rare bird. You have to be a black sheep in those schools to even stand a fucking chance. Allopathic, I said, forget it. You got no chance. No fucking chance in hell. And this playing both sides doesn't cut it anymore. I've talked a lot of people out of going to school this year. It's fantastic. Maybe 18 people. Absolutely not. Do not go get your degree. Instead, travel. Meet people. Read everything. Experience everything. Trial and error everything. Shadow everybody. Ask a ton of questions. Get the fuck out in the field and see real work being done. Thousands of hours over. These do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, some people are like, well, I'm already enrolled in school. Okay, so for you guys, don't expect the degree to get you ready for dick. I'll repeat. Don't expect the school or the degree to get you prepared to do anything with people. And I'm speaking about medicine and healthcare. You can't rely on it. You have to go outside schools. An absolute waste of your fucking time. It'll just rot your ass away. You have to get out. Get out and do this parallel. Just don't get these. I'm telling you right now, don't. If you're in it, do the work outside the classes, but do not expect these schools to get you ready. And we have too many people relying on these people to take care of you. And there's no amount of paper on a person's wall that gives a person any right to know anything more about what your body needs than what you do. And that's a fucking fact. That's not how it works. You do not heal based on the degree. And to be totally honest, I'm going to throw a shitload of people under the bus, but I don't really care. The more letters after the name, the more letters in front of their name, kind of the more disconnected and moronic they are. Sorry. It's like the more educated, the more just inhuman they are. You can't even talk to them because there's so much going into these. Oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking light these on fire. These are done. Not saying don't learn, but school doesn't teach you anything. Life does. The experience does. People. Yes. Oh, yeah. Go on. Oh, no. Degrees don't matter. The people that get you in position to heal yourself, they're the black sheep. They're the ones with the less schooling, to be totally honest with you. School's gotten in the way of their education in life. I think that's Mark Twain. Now, we get to see how people respond, see how people are butthurt, and how they're going to measure their balls with their degree or measure their ovaries with their degree. Saddle up, get ready. Ah, that was freeing. We are all at the same level. DR in front of a name, all these letters after the name, human. Nobody knows what you need to heal, what you need to be adaptable, what you need to live in this life. Nobody knows better than you. Nobody knows more than what you do. We have to try to tap into that. You have to get back to that. And if you're with somebody that's not allowing that or engaging that or empowering that, leave them. I'm all about guidance. I'm all about it. But if they're not putting 110% accountability and responsibility back onto you, leave them. You're in a bad place. They don't get it. That is all. Oh my God. Look at this sunset. I mean, come on, really? Really? P.S. Everybody's going to be like, well, wait, without a degree, I can't work. I can't practice in health and medicine. Sure you can. There are a ton of people letting their licenses go. They're not renewing their licenses. Naturopaths, chiropractors, you name it, because they don't want to be a part of it anymore. The system stands for what's going on, and nobody wants to be a part of it. So they're letting those licenses go. They could still work with people. Because you have a license doesn't make you any less dangerous. And true healthcare isn't dangerous. Shit. For people that are the third leading cause of death, I mean, I guess I want to know if they're licensed or not, but does it fucking matter? They're just going to cut shit out, burn it, label me, cook me, charge me, and make damn sure I don't heal. And make damn sure that I live this life under some kind of medication without hope and fear. So, people are dropping licenses. It's okay. And they're still going to help some people heal themselves. Another thing, there are many others that because the licensing and the certifications are pretty much bullshit, all of them, they're making up titles. They're just creating titles, position titles, to help people, because ultimately it doesn't matter. Why? Because we're all human beings and we all heal the same way. None of us are flawed. None of our bodies are attacking each other. There is no sickness or disease. There's only healing. And the ones that know it, get it, and those are the ones you want to be with. So again, just in case you're weighing out, well, I need that degree because I gotta get a license and I have to get a board certification. I have to do. No, you don't. Things are shifting, systems are falling, and I love it. All right, that's it. P.S. S. Good night.
You've heard me rail on the medical industrial complex many times on this show, and this will be a valiant continuation of that. You stand warned. First of all, our medical system is inextricably intertwined with Big Pharma, an industry that has time and time again proven to us that its motivations directly stem from making billions of dollars off of the sick. Second of all, it is firmly based in materialist allopathic quote-unquote medicine, which views the human body as a smattering of isolated parts. Hence, you end up with a long list of specialists who only myopically focus on one area of the body without regard to all the other areas that may surround it. Thirdly, it is only invested in treating and relieving symptoms, stringing people along, often for life, with the flimsy promise of only lessening their pain or discomfort, without really curing anything or even addressing whatever may be the root cause of their ailment. All of this amounts to a whole lot of ham-handed attempts at diagnosing things by lists of symptoms, referring to textbooks written by pharmaceutical companies, and lumping people into vastly general categories that doesn't see them or their situation as particular to the individual, but rather as approximations. Well, all of this has caused millions of people undue suffering and bankruptcy throughout the decades, and yet many still look to the medical industrial complex for answers. This form of passive pill-taking is only robbing us of our medical autonomy and is further separating us from our innate ability to treat ourselves with things that you won't find in pharmacies. Today's guest, former professional baseball player and someone who used to call himself doctor, Tommy John, has decided to extricate himself from all of this malarkey and proclaim loudly that we are free beings who only need look to ourselves in order to heal. I start off the conversation by asking Tommy what first brought him to want to heal people.
I think we're like called to do certain things if we listen, and always since I was a kid, I was very observant of others. I always watched how others prepared, whether that was for tests, sports, how people ate, like their technique on certain things. Like I was obsessed with how people did stuff because I just wanted to kind of
know more about myself, but I didn't know this, right? I just was an observant kid. Got into sports. Turned out I was really good at one sport more than another, and I played college baseball. And while I was in college, I was playing with a pretty competitive summer league team, and just had some achiness in my shoulder. Went to be proactive, because you're supposed to go do screenings and get imaging done to be proactive. That's what you're supposed to do. So we go, and they inject dye into the socket to get an image. And the overload of the bacteria from the outer of the skin was brought into, and my body had to fight it with an immune response, and thus was an infection, very painful, feverish response that was an immediate, a response to that injection. So they had to flush the socket with saline and clean it out. I was on IV antibiotics for a month, every morning for a month. What do you think that did to me? Exactly, right? So here's the cool thing. I got to experience what the medical system can do to you, but also how they can sort of how they claim to save your life. So they put me in this dangerous position because of their procedure. I mean, I chose to go in there, right?
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they bailed me out with the same formula. It's like, damn, I got to see two sides of this fence. Wow, that's not random. That's an interesting thing. So now I came back from that infection, and I was rehabbing, and then I got obsessed with the whole rehab process and observing people in coming back from injuries, and how everybody was treated the same, and everybody had like an algorithm and a label and like a package deal. And I was just like, this just seems very strange. Like, aren't we all individuals? This is very weird. But I became very aware and conscious of how my body performed, and I started to kind of pull this back. And then the biggest groundbreaking school, so I have 3 degrees, but this experience trumped all of it. I was with 2 gentlemen, John McNulty and Vladimir Chaguz, and we owned Synergy Fitness and Sports, and we were doing performance training and rehabilitation in a manner that was so traditional. You're talking like old school methodology, like stuff that PTs are like, no way does that work. Doctors like, we have no idea what you're doing. Everybody's just like, wait, what the hell is that? The opposite of what everybody's basically doing. We were doing the opposite, and the results were guaranteed. It's not like we hope this will work. They're guaranteed. Well, now we're those fringe guys doing the fringe shit, right? It's like, wait a second. But then that's when I was like, wait, I bought in. College taught me, pro sports taught me, college sports taught me, my dad taught me as a high-end athlete, the Yankees taught me. I'm like, this is crazy. Everything that they're doing is getting in the way of healing. What the hell have we been doing this whole time? And so then you go into the research and the books and the stuff that's not going to be on the mainstream lineup, and you start to see that, wow, there's really only one way, and that's to heal. Everything else is just antagonizing the human response to environmental trauma choice. Like,
absolutely
shit. And that was just soft tissue injury, Chris. Like, we're not even talking the cancer industry. We're not talking vaccine industry. We're not talking, childbirth. We're not talking any of that stuff. Just soft tissue injury was a complete sham. And I'm like, what the hell else? That's when I started to do this journey. And I started to pull back the curtain behind a lot of stuff. And then I added chiropractic because I just wanted to take the other professionals out of it. We had too many people involved, and I just wanted them out because they didn't understand our way of training and rehab and movement. And so I was like, well, let's get somebody who understands how to put it all together. And then I went back to school at 32 years old, got the degree, came back, and now I burned the degree the other day. If you didn't see that
we'll
video.
Get to that.
I don't know if you saw that.
Okay. Yeah, of course I did.
So I dropped it all, and I'm just like, you know what? I just had a realization in the greatest year of my life, being 2020. I'm like, I literally don't know anything. I am a student of humanity, and like my patients are teaching me stuff every day. I learn something new, and if we're aware and we're humble enough to listen, I'm following their breadcrumbs, and which is so great because it's exciting being a student, and it's exciting knowing that you don't know. And it's exciting being a part of like infinite potential and seeing that there's just no measurable way to limit the human capacity. That excites me. And so you can speak in these terms of hell yes instead of absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, and it provides much more autonomy too. It's more alive than the passivity of mainstream medicine, which is really about relieving. It's not about healing. It's symptom oriented.
Yep. Symptom-based, symptom-reduced, pain management. I think the pain management industry, if I was going to do a talk, and they love stats in talks. Now I just don't give a shit anymore, but they love stats on like television and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, stats. It was like a $39 billion industry, pain management was, in like 2006 or 9 or something. I'm like, get out of here. This is just too much.
Well, then you came to a place where you kind of stay out of people's way. You facilitate them healing themselves, right? Which is much more powerful.
I think so. And when you see somebody who takes on the role and they learn their bodies again, and they come back into their physical body and they realize that they can, that's a beautiful thing, man. Like that's like tear stricken, where they start to realize they've got this, with the occasional drop in, hey, can you point the right direction? Or hey, can you, boom, then they got it. And that's infectious, man. That consciousness is infectious. And that's the society I want to live in. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Where these people are, kind of helping each other out. And there's maybe one medicine man or woman of the community that get it all and are using herbs and the land and nature. And we're just, that's where we're going. I think that's what I believe. So
absolutely. It's the difference between showing somebody how to fish as opposed to just handing them over the fish.
Right. God.
Yeah. It's so much more powerful, and it sticks, like if you stopped practicing, tomorrow they would still know how to facilitate their own healing because they've been set in that direction.
Done. And that's truly great. What I feel my calling is, right? Like that's what we should be. Like we're releasers, man.
Absolutely. So. It's like Gonzo medicine.
Right.
I was just thinking that the other day. It's like Hunter S. Thompson's approach to journalism, only with healing. It's powerful.
Bring it back. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is it makes sense to people. Like that's the biggest thing. I'm like, you know what? The best treatment approach is the one you believe in. If you truly believe that maybe a vaccine or a chemotherapy, or you believe in a label and a diet, like that's fine. I'm not. But if you believe in that, go with it. Go full bore. Don't hold back. Go and just go into it and commit. But if you believe in this, or there's some sort of doubt, like it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, now we got to listen to that. And then when I get done with my spiel and I explain where I'm going or the explain of injury or what we're doing, I'm like, does that make sense? And they're like, yeah. Like, why has nobody told me this? Like, I know.
Because you're supposed to sit there and say, when can I refill my prescription, doctor?
Right. That's it.
It is. It's giving away your backbone. I like the way that you do it much better. It's also very Zen. It's very no nonsense. Go with your gut feeling, and very Taoist in a way too. I mean, I'm putting a lot of labels on there, but all of those are pretty open schools of thought, and I think that applies to what you're doing too. So how did you? I mean, you said, and I've heard you say before that 2020 was your best year in your memory. What did you? How did you utilize your last year?
Dude, so I'll say this: when it all happened, it was one of those, like, what's our role in everything, right? Like I'm at, okay, my office didn't close, because why the hell would I close my office?
Exactly.
And I didn't change anything, and I was kind of capitalizing, like nobody's on the roads. Oh my God, this is my dream. Like I'm like one of the only men alive. Like nobody else is. What, the world's mine. Like, oh my gosh. So I was feeling very good, and it didn't seem right. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait, okay, what's my role? Because I can't just keep going. My office is busy. My life's amazing. There's something else that I'm supposed to do here. I just didn't know what it was. And I'm starting to find other people, starting to connect with other people. And then Alex Zek reached out to me. One, I was starting to be even louder and more voicing myself on social. because I saw how much it upset people. And I was like, oh, I'm onto something here. Like, I'm really just defending the human spirit, and it's upsetting people. Huh. Okay. All right. This is interesting. Well, I'm not going to hold back. And then, some people that were helping manage certain things of me, they were like, it's too aggressive. Like, and I'm not managed. Like, as soon as I left my house, I was like, I won't be parented again. It's not going to happen. And especially with what's at stake is what I kind of realized. And then Alex Zek reached out to me in a DM on Instagram. He's like, yo, you want to start a nonprofit, Health Freedom for Humanity? I'm like, oh, absolutely. And that was it. That was my new. And then with what we were connecting with people, connecting with the new celebrities, the Tom Cowans and the Andrew Kaufmans and the Kelly Brogans and the Sarah G's and the Dr. Pilevskis and the Tenpennies and the Northrops. It's like, holy shit, this is a new level of celebrity that has nothing to do with fashion, movies, or sports. You know what I mean? But like real life, like, my God, these should be the celebrities in the first place.
Absolutely.
And then you're realizing, like, everyone's all on the same level. Like, everyone's just talking like, no, we're all human beings just trying to help human beings. So it was my purpose. My purpose was reinvigorated, refocused, lasered in as to everything I've done in my life has given me the confidence that I have without a shred of doubt in my mind that what I'm fighting for is worth it. And that this capacity that we have inside that I'm trying to awaken in people is true. And it's the only true thing, capital T. And so say it's a hill I'll die on. Yeah, shit, yeah. And everyone's like, I can trigger anybody. And it's hilarious because I'll just put out this stuff and then you get a trigger. And it's like, ooh, look at you. That's interesting. All I said was burn your white coat and you freaked the hell out. That's interesting. Are you upset that your white coat is a disaster? Are you... All right, well, that's interesting. But you can't trigger me. The only thing that's going to trigger me is if you try to talk like the human potential is limited. Or if you point to somebody that's like, oh, yeah, they won't heal. I will stand up and stand in between you two and say, excuse me, what did you just say? Like, I'm defending the human spirit. And I didn't realize I was so in love with it, with this capacity till this year. And what a great thing, right? So,
absolutely.
Like get reacquainted. My God,
we need it more than ever.
I've trimmed off so much crap. I just I have no tolerance for anything that isn't feeding this engine, this beast, or challenging it to be a little better. I mean, I've streamlined my life, my purpose. I'm outside. I've done work with Dr. Cassie Huckabee. I've leveled up on things I wasn't even aware of. Like, I am so elevated and ascended, which I'm like, that's why you see my posts. I will not focus on news, what's coming, who's doing what I am going to show how to live as the freest, most resilient, aware, connected, sunbathed, awakened, strong, unapologetic, unedited human possible. That if we all attempted this, I think that's where salvation would be. I think that if humanity expressed that true nature of themselves again, there's what we're looking for, in my opinion. And so that's where I'm sitting.
Absolutely. And what speaks to all of that, speaks to me, is the presence. It's all about presence. It's all about what's going on right at this moment, because that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. What happened in the 2 weeks ago, might happen 2 weeks from now, it has no consequence whatsoever. It's what's going on right at this moment.
It's hilarious you said that. I mean, it's not hilarious. It's exactly right. Like, can anybody predict what's coming? We don't have any idea. Okay, so what can you do today, right now? Literally, what a blessing. I'm telling, like, these things that we forgot about March 12th, 2020 and before. We forgot like what a hug was. We forgot what a homemade meal was. We forgot what connecting. So people freak out, Chris, when I DM them in voice. Oh my God, I never thought you'd voice message me. I'm like, well, you sent me a DM. You're a human, right? Oh,
exactly.
Like I'm getting back to you. And they're like, no way, it's you. And I'm like, well, what did you think? And they're like, oh, you took the time. And someone's like, my husband just said, he just answered you in the voice message. That's a legit deal right there.
Exactly.
Like, wait a second, man. Like, this is new. All right.
We're all on the same level.
That's it.
Yes.
There's no more titles. There's no more brands. There's no more. And I just got deleted from Instagram. You saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody was obsessed about the blue check. And, I was coming up on 100,000 followers and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I was so reignited when that happened. I was face to face with Alex Zek. We were on a face call and it happened like real time. And he's like, oh my God, let's record this. Let's record your reaction and record why it's happening. Like, this is a big deal, right? I was so relieved, but I just had my action just got put in another direction. I'm like, I got to start a new account. I have posts I want to do right fucking now. This is huge right now. And so I did. Instagram is going to come back and offer my page up again because they said it's temporarily disabled.
What?
But just like what you said, it's almost like they're going to come back in 30 days. I have a chance to trial it or whatever the hell. They're going to come back and they're going to give it back to me because I think they're going to be like, almost like, if you abide by our rules, we just want to let you know that we can take you down, kind of a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
But you just said it. I'm not going to accept it. I am not who I was when you took it away from me. Why the hell would I want to go back? A blue check? You took it. I'm not that anymore. Dr. Tommy John? Fuck that. I burned my degrees. 100,000 followers? We got the right ones. They're coming back up. So I really want them to offer it back up so I can be like, take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Literally, there are people like, but you had 100,000 followers. Like, who cares? Who cares? It means absolutely nothing. Nothing. It's right now. It's today. It's moving forward.
And you already have another account, right? Naked TJ? Yeah.
Naked TJ, baby. And there's
Yes.
there's more words to that because everyone's like, oh, it's because you're naked. No, it's no masks. It's no different personalities. There's no labels. There's no titles. It is straight up a naked soul. Like, everybody get naked. And they're like, you just want to see nudity. It's like, no, I want to see everybody's true nature. That's what I want to see. Because it's a beautiful thing when people are being human. It is freaking, like, emotionally, like, it floors me when people are being just real. Oh my God. What a thing.
Yeah, no, and I think you inspire it in people too. And it is inspiring. I mean, and that's what living in the moment is. It's not living in the cradle of, many people are looking in their rearview mirrors, wishing that they'd done things differently, or looking ahead at this person that they're hoping to be, instead of focusing on what is happening at this very second. And that's the only fucking thing that matters.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Absolutely. Well, so why did they delete your Instagram account anyway?
Well, I had been on their radar. So what I theorize, I had said a bunch of stuff like, not a pandemic. There is no pandemic. Take your masks off. Basically things antagonizing the narrative. The one narrative, by the way, right? Like the one narrative. Okay. So there was part of that. But if I wasn't taken down, it kind of came at a purge when everybody from Health Freedom for Humanity, our whole nonprofit, they purged everybody.
Alec too, right?
Alec too? Was it attached to the Disinformation Dozen? Do you remember that group that they? Dr. Northrup's a part of it. Dr. Ben Tapper.
Yes.
So there's Ben Tapper is in Health Freedom for Humanity. He's a part of the Disinformation Dozen, which is saying that there's misinformation around vaccines and viruses. Okay, so these are the most powerful 12 people against that one narrative, is what they say. So did they do that? Just follow the breadcrumbs and see who Ben Tapper's attached with? Oh, Health Freedom for Humanity. Well, let's look at some of the names. Oh, Alex Zek, Dr. Joe Yee, Dr. Tommy John, who have X number of followers, who are selling things on their link tree, because then the investigative Journal of Investigative Journalism or something like that, Bureau of Investigative Journalism, did a slam piece on us that got picked up by The Guardian.
Interesting.
And it was just before this. And so it said, the guy reached out to me. I thought it was a joke. So I popped back at him. I'm like, hell yeah, can't wait to see what you write about us. Thanks for getting the message out. By the way, include that there's no virus that's ever been isolated, that the tests are meaningless, and that, the cases are fraudulent and corrupt. Oh, and also share that people have a choice on how they treat their bodies with health and medical freedom, please. And thank you so much. And the guy printed it. Like, he actually put all it in there.
That's great.
I thought it was like a bot, or it was like something. And well, then Alex sends him Stefan Lanka's 7 points on why viruses why viruses have never been contained or isolated. 7 points from one of the most intelligent people ever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't post that. So he didn't post that in there, but it was just all more attacking Linktree, that we're making money off the pandemic was what their big thing was. It wasn't really a slam on our message. It was just that we're all making money and profiting. And then at the very, very bottom, this study or this article and publication is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Then we know the motivation behind that.
So we know that, right?
Yes.
And they already changed Wikipedia to change every holistic health avenue to switch to being pseudoscientific and dangerous. And then the Wikipedia entries can't be changed. So it's just putting one single mindset, so you can't find anything else. And I feel maybe I was a threat, where really, if you look at my page, I'm just posting how to be a healthy human being. I wasn't really posting vaccine information or virus. I kind of shifted because I'm like, I don't feel good when I read that stuff. I'm just going to post how to live, just how to live full. And that's why, truthfully, I think it's going to come back. And I'm going to tell them to stick my account of the
yin yangs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, when people when they allow themselves to be triggered, they're just showing their blind spots. Like, if you were at peace with yourself and where you're at, then you wouldn't give a shit what anybody else was doing,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems ridiculous.
And so that's why, if we're a threat, and the hashtag health freedom for humanity was blocked.
Yeah.
The
wow.
hashtag health freedom for humanity
Crazy.
in America, blocked.
Oh, that can't happen here. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the weird. I mean, that's the dynamic that was set up starting with when Trump was around, and he started calling CNN fake news. And so anybody who starts talking about fake news now might as well just align themselves with Trump and be a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's an umbrella that people get lumped under if they question anything.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Conspiracy theorists, that came up, around JFK, right? And then,
yeah, of course.
Even quack, right? Like with the Flexner Report in the early 1900s. Anybody not practicing pharmaceutical, petroleum-based is a quack.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. We've been up against it from the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why the Cowans and the Northrops, who have been doing it 40 years, they're like, this is nothing new. This is the most extreme I've ever seen it, but they've been doing this. That's how I just feel like it's right. Do you know what I mean? That bottom line, I don't like people not liking me. I don't like them hating, because I'm not trying to pick enemies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care. I'm not gonna, but it does suck. There's moments where I'm just like, is this right? What I'm doing? And I will sit and I'll be like, wait, oh, hell yeah. This is bigger than me.
Yeah.
This is not something that I made that I'm selling. This is the biggest thing humans have ever seen, as far as we know. What's at stake? Okay, here we go. Yeah, there's no tomorrow. We're going right now. I'm posting this. I'm saying this. I'm doing this. I'm going to speak this. I'm not, the other day I was at a Heart of Freedom rally, and it's minor, but there was 1,400 people, and a bunch of us spoke, and it was taking place in a church, and I tend to get all riled up, and I can swear, and I was like, I'm in a church, and I'm going to swear. Okay. Well, I'm going to give them a warning, like the CDC does with my sunset videos, that there's a warning that this is misinformation. When I post a sunset. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, listen, I'm going to swear during this talk because I get all ramped up and I cannot hold myself back. If you don't like it, you can leave. And everybody giggles. I'm like, no, but I'm being serious. Or plug your ears for the next 20 minutes. Also, my swearing's not going to go unrewarded. For every swear, it's $10 in a swear jar that's going to go towards the cause. And so I ended up going, and I said, 4 swears. Somebody afterwards came up and was like, it was actually 7. And I was like, okay. Well, then the guy next to me is Dr. Brett Jones, and he spoke beautifully. He's a chiropractor he's in Arizona, but he's just amazing presentation and talk. And he dropped a couple F-bombs, and he sits down next to me. And there's Judy Mikovits was there, Del Bigtree was closing it out, Simone Gold, everyone was there. And I leaned over to Brett and I'm like, we both said fucking church. And he goes, he leans over and he goes, 2021, baby. And we like fist pumped. Like it was just like I mean, it's so minor, but there's so much human coming out in certain aspects that I'm just like, this is just so great. Like it's so invigorating, and I just love it.
Yeah, we got to get above the little petty things like that.
Yes.
And anybody who's triggered by what you post on Instagram, obviously are steeped in pettiness, because you're not confrontational in a way that's mean-spirited or anything. Mm-mm. Yeah, it's anarchic, and it's very autonomous. It's like, how could you? I don't know. Understand how you could have a problem with that.
Like, I'm fighting for you. Like, my message is for you. Like, how are you upset?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? Like, you are at my party. I mean, I kind of like, I'm hosting a party and you're upset at my party. Like, you don't have to be at my party.
Just leave.
You
back
can leave
out of the
party.
parking space. Exactly.
Seriously.
So what does, speaking of health, freedom for humanity, what's the thing that you guys are setting out to do?
Gosh, dude, you know, it's like, what makes us different than Stand for Health Freedom or Informed Consent Action Network or Millions Against Medical Mandates? Like, there's so many. Mm-hmm. Alex Zeck's goal from the beginning was to bring us all under one umbrella that united everyone. There's no right, left. There's no income driven. There's no, you know, everyone's coming from different industries. Everybody represents a different aspect of this whole thing. And it's, what we envision is even Children's Health Defense. Like, it's not just about vaccines. It's not just about masks. It's about the finance. It's about the spiritual war. It's about, you know, education and law and agriculture. And it's everything that's at stake throughout this. We want to bring in and get people under, sharing information, connecting people state to state, country to country, so that we can just unite this thing and know that there is a place for people to go. Because health freedom is everything. If we lose our health and medical freedom, we lose everything it is to be human. Yeah. And we all know what's at stake. And so we've all stated on the first meeting, everyone, Dr. Ben Tapper, Dr. Seth Gerlach, you know, Dr. Sarah Carnes, Ali Zeck, this is a hill we'll die on. Like, this is bigger than all of us. It's not about brands. It's not about a personal, you know, business. It is literally people giving up, putting straight up targets on their back. Yeah. Some with more to lose than others, right? Some have families and multiple practices, and they know what's at stake and they're willing. And so this is it. So it's, yeah.
And speaking of autonomy, I mean, if they're trying to move this thing towards, say, passports, vaccine passports, I mean, they can piggyback so much in that little chip of information that, I mean, that's the ultimate invasion of privacy.
That's it. I mean, there's so many, like, if it gets to this point, there's no turning back. And I think we're already there, but it's like, it's really there. And at Palevsky and Northrop and everybody, because Dr. Christian Northrop's a friend, and we'll message each other every now and then. I know you interviewed her already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just a beautiful soul, right? And so
absolutely.
It's always just creating another system. Like, that's the way I look. Like, when I'm approaching the new earth and the door swings open, I just see us getting back to the way we used to live, like growing our own food, absolutely. Homeschooling, you know, communities.
Yes.
Just getting back to some of those simplicities. So I'm excited where this is moving forward. I just wish we didn't have to see so much peril and you know, suffering with other families and friends and organizations and everything else. But you know, everybody's been saying this for 40 years, like, look, we got to change our ways. You can't keep this up. And then the last 30 years, look, you can't keep this up. And the last 20 years, you can't keep living like this. And now everybody's got to change now, or you will not make it. And so it's kind of unfair, but what a great opportunity. Just one fell swoop. Let's go.
Yes, for sure.
You know?
For sure. And it really affects everybody. I mean, everybody on Earth. It's not just like somebody in the southern states of the United States. It's everybody.
No, the globe. Yeah.
It's big shit.
Yeah, big deal. It is. And it's kind of cool that we're even, I mean, if history books were legit, we'd go down as like being on the framework of starting this new existence, which would be kind of cool, because I see it as being this amazing success story that in our history books that we write, it's going to be, oh my God, do you remember when civilization was restarted? When we rediscovered what it was to be human again?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Remember that dude that was naked all the time and wearing his opening boxes with a samurai sword? Like, who the
Exactly.
hell? Yeah.
That was a great post, by the way.
Better.
Did you mangle what was inside of it?
Yeah, it was a towel. It was my infrared sauna bamboo towel, but it's okay. The things are replaceable, and I'll get better. There's got to be something at stake, right?
For sure.
Now, it's not like baby chickens on the inside. I mean, if that was the case, I'd get really good, really fast. So I'll order up pets next. Yeah.
Well, and the thing I like about the vibe of all this too, all the people that you mentioned, yourself, what I try to do here is the absence of fear and not buying into the fear bullshit, the fear narrative, because that's what's pinning people down. Is they're allowing themselves to sort of be engulfed by this fear.
Yep.
Yeah, which is highly destructive.
I know I did it at the first Heart of Freedom rally I spoke at. I did an example of that. So there was about 1,000 people. And at the end I go, okay. And I wasn't going to do this, but I'm like, all right, we're going to start off now, starting with you, every other person. Starting here, over here on the left, you're going to get up. The gentleman on the music is going to play 10 seconds of a random song. And you're going to stand up here and you're going to dance for 10 seconds. However, whatever the song dictates, all right? We're going to go for the first 2 rows. Are we ready? And I'm like all loud and animated. And they're like, what the f? And I'm like, okay, that's not going to happen. And everybody laughs and is like, oh my God. Well, I'm like, listen, how many of you are sweating right now? Or, a couple raise their hands. How many of you feel nauseous? Yeah, a couple raise. How many's heart rates increased? Blood pressure shot up. Do you know what I just did? You had a fear response. That's a fight or flight response because there was an emergency. A lion just entered the room. It was your ability to dance in front of people for 10 seconds, but that was a lion. So your sympathetics ramped. When your sympathetics ramp, you're no longer digesting food. You're no longer fighting, damaged cells collecting wherever. You're no longer fighting anything. You are fighting that event right there. So here's the deal. Your immune response dropped. So I'm sorry, but all I did was suggest an idea.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't do any. I just gave you an idea and you guys completely tanked. Now, here's what's cool about the idea though, and the view of perception. All you people sitting in between them and sitting behind and sitting on this side of the room, you guys were like, oh, thank God it's not me. And you're like laughing. And what a great event. You had an immune increase because you thought it was jovial and it was happy and it was joyous. Do you see what's at stake? Is there a story being told to you right now, nonstop? Yes. Your response to that is it. If you truly want to be the healthiest, most resilient version of yourself, you got to find another story. You got to tell yourself a new story. And that was just so profound because they're like, holy shit. And all I did was just give them a 25-second suggestion.
Exactly. That's the important. I mean, that's what you learn when you're sort of bolstering your own autonomy and learning that you can really steer your life wherever you want it. Is realizing that fear, you just give that up. I mean, you totally trade security for the convenience of thinking that you'll be safe, but really there's no real safety there at all. So you just give up yourself. You give up, you just put yourself in somebody else's hands, and that's no good. That's the way that we've been running things for so long. Yes. We live in a society of experts, and the medical industrial complex is full of them. So something that I like that you mentioned in a post one of your podcast episodes not too long ago is getting rid of data points and labels. Speak on it.
Yeah. So there's extensive conversations. I mean, with Dr. Cassie Huckabee, as she's working with people, she's got reversing all sorts of incurable quote unquote stuff. Right. And I just wanted a long time ago from a rehab standpoint, I'm like, the science is bullshit. Human doesn't follow and I've been entering this because the science was law. I mean, you get a master's, you get a bachelor's, you go into chiropractic school, science. I'm like, but the second the human knows they're being observed, and the second the thing is over, they're a different human. Like, you can't measure the potential of a human being. It's too boundless. It's not even, it's like, what is that study where the photons like shift when they're being observed?
Yeah. I don't know what the name of it is, but I know what you're talking about.
Alec likes talking about it. It was, hold on. It was like they shoot photons through a slit, and when they're observed, they go one direction. When they're not, like they change. So it's just like
from a wave to a particle.
Yeah, the whole idea of observation and so it's science has been one, but two, it's this limited mindset where it's like studying, Cassie said, since when did the powerful study the powerless? When do you study down? Why are we studying symptom?
Yeah.
Why don't you study how trees communicate to each other, or how animals, heal or take care, or like amazing healing responses? Why are we like, be curious up instead of curious down, exactly. And that's it, right? We reduce everybody down. And that's what I made damn sure at the last Heart of Freedom, because we entirely, and even holistics doing it too. No, like as soon as you are called something, you take on that identity. And this whole labels thing needs to stop. And I mean, people are calling me sacred masculine. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, no, you're totally the definitive image of sacred masculine. I'm like, oh, stop it. I didn't wake up and read a book and go, I'm going to be sacred masculine today. And then I'm just being the best human being that I can possibly be. You guys have to label it as something because we have to call it something. You can't just be the best human expression. That's it. It has to be Virgo in Mercury. And it's like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop it, because we can't break out of that. And it's like, you can't live unless you follow the data. And I said, don't let science and data dictate when to live or when to heal. They follow you, not the other way around. And they'll never catch up, ever.
Yes. Absolutely. And we live in a society that is wanting to categorize and label things, and people are willingly identify themselves and put themselves into these sort of divisions. And I think we what we need to do is unite. We don't need to divide ourselves up into these tiny little fragments, because that helps us to forget that we're all interconnected. We need to rise above. Yeah. It's just
like anti-vaxxers, right? Anti-vaxxers, or, anti-maskers, or holistic, naturopathic. No, what are you talking about? Or Waldorf school, Montessori, public, Common Core. No, you just mean education. Yeah. GMO to organic. No, you just mean food. What are we talking about? Why are there all these choices? No, there's just one way, the human way. There's the human way to heal, human way to live, human way to respond, human. And who's the best human? Nobody. It's all of us. What are you talking about? Like, literally, no. Dr. Tom, no, it's just TJ. I'm like slightly behind you and off to the side. I just follow you. You're my guru.
Yeah, I hear you. Yes, that's fantastic. So let's go. Let's bring up the burning of the degrees.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I had wanted to do that for a long time, because I saw them. I was closing up my office and I saw them in my office, and I'm like, why the hell do I have these up? Like, what do they even mean? And I equated it to like taxidermy heads. And like somebody points like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a moose. Oh, yeah, I killed it once. Oh, great. Like, what's that like? I mean, it was just this big day. See it? That was this big day.
Yeah.
Oh, what does that have to do with me? Like, nothing. Like, great. Like, I mean, holding on to these like trophies, like, this is so stupid. And do I use any part of these 3 degrees? I use 0. Was there anything I couldn't have just gotten on my own? 100%. 100%. Goodwill Hunting, $1.50 in late charges at the public library. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You say that line is perfect. And so I'm like, I'm going to burn them because it's just this huge image. But in California, you can't just burn shit. So I had to like find where I was going to do this. And I went into the mountains and I ended up doing it with this big presentation. I could only do it once. So I had to get it right, like what I was sharing. And basically, it was just sharing why we put so much stock in the degree, even if it's a medical degree or a virology degree or a bioscience degree, or when they actually mean absolutely nothing. And most of the institutions are all coming from the same place, including the holistic ones.
Yeah.
Because there's no way the holistic naturopathic ones could stay if they were teaching really, really important tools, because the medical mafia, there's no way they'd let them stay here. There's no way. They'd wipe them out. So all the schools have to play by their rules. That's why chiropractic school is an absolute travesty. It was an absolute joke. It was all symptom-based, health insurance, be a bad PT, mediocre chiro. I mean, 200 grand. I'm like, I didn't know this. And then you got Cassie over at Bastyr in naturopathic school. She's like, same thing, Tommy. I'm like, shut up. No, naturopathic doctors, same thing. Unless you're a black sheep, unless you're totally paving your own road and going against everything in the classes, everything in the clinics, everything, you will graduate feeding the same system.
Yeah.
Different, same formula,
sure,
just under the guise of supplements, herbs, and tinctures and all that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said, never let somebody, put a degree above your own intuition.
Yeah.
But like, and especially with these vaccine injured moms that I talk to, they're like, I just knew it. I knew it didn't make sense. Or people going in, it didn't make sense to me. But they had multiple degrees on the wall. They had all this. No, the letters after the name and the letters before the name mean absolutely nothing.
Sure.
And so that was the gesture.
And it was very effective. I thought it was fantastic.
I think so.
I could tell it was cathartic.
Yeah. It was so cool, man. And it was just like it blew back into my face and it was warm. And I'm like, I got more from these degrees at this moment. I got warmth on a cold side of the mountain. I'm like, I got some warmth burning my degrees. That's about $500,000 in absolute bullshit. I'm like, holy crap.
They might as well just give you big receipts suitable for framing.
Right. Exactly. And so that's it. And then just shortly after, Instagram takes me. I'm like, you know what? I'm no longer doctor. Screw it. I'm no longer blue check. Screw it. I no longer have. No, this is just straight up a born again moment again. Let's do it. I'm going to take this. Let's go. I feel fantastic. So
that's great. So did you, I don't know how it works, but did you allow your license to lapse or
yeah. So that's a good question. I was, it's up August, my birthday.
Okay.
And so I'm going to let it go. It's not even, I don't want to be a part of any of this anymore. Where it's coming from, everybody was all scared, like, oh, you're going to lose your license earlier when I was speaking about this. I'm like, if my license gets taken for what I'm fighting for, then it's not a license I want to be a part of. Now, knowing what I know, what's going on in the schools and what's going on elsewhere, I don't even want to be a part of any of it. And it's like, well, what are you going to call yourself? I don't like somebody was funny. They're like pseudo-scientific mobility mover or something. It's just like, come up with anything, right? I interviewed
Life coach.
Lauren Geertsen. That's what everybody, right? I interviewed Lauren Geertsen. We have the same book agent, and she just released a book, The Invisible Corset. And it's about, the challenges women face in today's society with what, just the corset in general, like what that did, what that stood for. It's like, holy shit. So she works with flower essences and tinctures and some other things and works with women. I'm like, you're fascinating. I'm like, what's your title? And she's like, I looked into certifications and licensing and nothing was going to allow me to do what I wanted to do. So I called it mind body connection coach. She's like, I made up a title.
Cool.
She's like, I wasn't going to like wait for somebody to make something. And she's coming from a good place, so everybody's just obviously like, well, what happens like malpractice? I'm like, real medicine isn't dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
I do, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell is this danger factor?
Yeah.
We're working with people, connecting them to themselves. And you're not coming from a place of selfish. You're not selling something that doesn't work within. And so that whole concept of, well, to protect you from hurting, what are you doing if you're hurting people? Jesus.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like nothing that you're doing has a list of side effects.
No, it's like health and like openness and like connectivity. Oh my God, you are only going to be praising this. Is it easy? No way, but that's why we're together in this, and we're going to discuss this. These people will give you the keys to their home. rather than like, do you have a license? Like, what?
So does
No, I don't.
does that stop you from doing anything different?
No.
Okay.
Now here's where I will say this. It's easy for me because of what I do is very, it's not as deep as say what Dr. Cassie is doing, like a naturopath who gets it, because she may be working with type 1 diabetes patients who are on insulin, who don't have to be, but need to be worked off of that.
Sure.
So if a medical doctor, a naturopath gives up their license, where do they get insulin? Well, that depends on who they know. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's, and not saying she's doing this, but it's just that, because I asked her, I was like, is there anything that you would need? And then she's like, that's the only thing that is tough. But again, if you know what you're doing, you can replicate it with herbs. You can replicate it with plant. You can replicate what the earth has provided,
Sure.
And so this whole like, well, there is the condition of, well, there is that. Why do you think insulin's so expensive? Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Fuck that.
And then they say you have to have, like, really? The incurable thing is also the most expensive. All right. Oh, classic, guys. Thanks. All right. Next, move on.
Most of mainstream medicine is just to keep the wheels turning of the industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It has nothing to do with weaning you off of it.
No, not at all.
Lifetime subscriber. And that's the kind of the ingeniousness of this COVID malarkey, is that it's, it's like this invisible, lurking, something to fear around every corner. Everybody could have it, like it's really whoever, wrote the script for this really knew what they were doing.
It's brilliant because they could take it any way they want. I mean, they could literally, it's a fictional story. That's one of those, well, how's it end? Any way they want.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It depends what story you read. It literally is, so I don't like fairy tales. I say, like, I'm done reading. I don't know. I'm just writing my own story. I don't know.
And like the narrative of you're wearing masks and you're getting vaccinated for others, really is the perfect setup for people to be the police state, embody the police state themselves instead of waiting for the authorities to come in.
It's brilliant on all levels. Like if we could use this template, but in a positive way,
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Could you imagine the shift that Jesus. So
it might be. I really do feel optimistic. I think we might have to swim through some shit, but I think on the other side we'll come out much better.
I think so too, and I can't fathom. I can't even picture a future that isn't better. Like I can't even like fantasize. Like, well, what if? No, I don't see it. Like, I just don't see it. I can't grasp it. So I know that in my reality and those that are affected by me, or I see something really amazing, and it'll be the greatest triumph, because with every trauma, our healing response is programmed to be greater. Otherwise, we never would have made it this far.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty gnarly trauma we've all been through. But do you realize the healing response that will be there if we just believe and access it? Oh my God, let's go.
Yeah.
We've got this done.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that is being able to envision that, because thinking, which comes before action, but thinking is the seeds that comes before everything else. So if you're feeding your reality with bad thoughts, or, assuming that some dystopian technocratic, horrible outcome is going to take, well, then of course it's going to come, because you're just laying down the red carpet for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something I was going to say, and I kind of got sidetracked by autonomy. When you learn how much with autonomy, you learn the power that you have, and the power that you have to collaborate with those around you in constructing what direction your reality goes.
How much of a player you are in it. And I love it when people realize this. I mean, I've heard more families like, my husband quit his job. We travel more. We own less. We homeschool. Our relationship got stronger. This was the greatest thing. And these are families. Do you know what I mean? And they had like income to, you start to see like what's important. And oh my God, like when it comes down to it, we already have it. Like it's already with us. What's important? We don't need so much. Oh, that's so freeing. Like how free is that?
It's such a big trick that
Right?
this post-industrial society has played on us, is thinking that all of our happiness relies on things outside of ourselves. The only thing that's going to heal you is something outside of yourself. Like it's all bullshit. We're totally self-contained. That's the big secret.
That's it. But that's it. And that's what I want to get out. And that's like literally my videos. Like I'm just posting my life. I'm not even doing videos because people are going to watch. I'm just showing you what I did.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Thank you. So inspirational. Not trying to be. I'm literally just trying to show you that you can live. I was like, how are you okay with everything going on? I'm like, because I'm so obsessed with expressing my fullest self and experiencing every part of this day. I don't have time to read all that other stuff or even think about that other stuff.
Exactly. Well, all of that being said, I mean, inevitably there are going to be days when we get stuck. We get stuck in a wheel of thought. What are some things that you do to get unstuck?
So what I do is try to stay in it. Like let the body talk to you about what you're supposed to learn. So somebody asked me today, they DM'd, are you happy? And I said, fuck yeah. And I was like, well, wait, happy all the time? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, no, God, no. I'm like, no, but I'm content and grateful all the time. When I have these feelings that maybe we're told aren't ideal or are diseased or are toxic or are down and negative and dark. Well, hell yeah, that's a healthy express. Everything we feel is a guide, is a tour guide of sorts, not a disease, but a tour guide. So I sit with it. Why did I lose my appetite just then? Why am I anxious? Wow, shit, I'm kind of depressed today. Huh. Well, that was when I watched that movie that showed this, that reminded me, okay, and I did have that conversation with, okay, so why? Just don't push it away and don't think that there's anything wrong with you. Like there's something so right with everything you can feel. And I mean right. So you sit with it, let it in, acknowledge it, and then see what you're supposed to take action on, because that's what it is. It's a guide to point you in a direction, and then you got to get your ass up and do something. And it could be anything. It could be journaling. It could be art. It could be connecting with that person. It could be cutting off that person. It could be making this meal. It could be going to that meeting. It could be speaking up at that opportunity. I mean, I don't know what it is. It could be sunbathing your entire body, something, but you just let those times be guides. And then all of a sudden now you see those as opportunities. And so for the most part, there'll be stuff where it's overwhelming, whoom, and it'll come in. And it's like, whoa. Okay. What is this telling me right now? Okay. Then I'm not comfortable with that person. That's interesting because I didn't really think they were ideal for this scenario. Anyway, okay, I'm going to let this play out, but I'm going to go. And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, wow, they were full of shit. They're not a part of our group. I'm not affiliating myself with that person anymore. Over here. Do you know what I mean? Like it just starts to reconnect. So whether you're in a flat in Scotland by yourself, single mother in Canada, a full family in Nebraska, everyone's sitting and connecting with feelings again and connecting with spirit. And they're starting to make these changes and take action. And it could be anything. And there's no wrong. Everyone's going to have their own unique fingerprint to this scenario. There is no wrong. It's so right. It's incredible. Yeah. But let it guide you is what I'm trying to kind of make the big big statement. Yeah.
Totally makes sense. And I think sometimes I used to get mixed up, but I think a lot of people get mixed up between sort of taking those people out of your life that don't feed the best parts of you, as they equate that with putting yourself in some sort of an echo chamber or some sort of a bubble where you're just surrounded by people that agree with you, but it's much more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's bigger than that for sure. And then that's the thing. If somebody triggers me, I'm like, wait, did I get triggered because of what they're saying or be triggered because, oh no, wait, no, this is stupid. And then you'll start to just let things roll off. Like they just won't be a big deal anymore. I mean, you'll know what's so important and what's worth fighting for and what's just an energy vampire, as Northrop says. And it's just like, not worth it. I'm good. I'm out. You're out. Done. Next topic. we'll go.
Absolutely. So you also, before we kind of wind this up here.
Yeah, dude, we got Carrie Midday, Dr. Carrie Midday at 5:30. So we're on an HFFH podcast.
Oh,
so we're recording one. Yeah, I know. So
Okay.
it's Alec, me, and Dr. Stanton Hom. So I was
Coming
trying to
up real
squeeze in.
soon.
Dude, we got to do, it's like literally right now, but we
Okay.
got to do a part 2 or something, man.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
There's so much more we can get into, and I
Absolutely.
feel bad because I gotta.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. And we'll, it won't be too long before you and Alec, and we'll be doing the Health Freedom for Humanity one too.
Oh, I can't wait. And then let us know whoever else you want to have on, because we got so many good people representing us, man. It's such a great thing. So
fantastic. Yeah. We'll talk before then.
Dude, I love it. I appreciate this.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad we were able to get it in. Sorry.
Fantastic.
I had to
Oh, that's okay.
All right, brother.
All right. Take care, Tommy.
Got it, bud. See ya.
If you like what you've heard and would like to contribute to The Melt, there are a few ways that you can do so. The most tangible way would be financially by clicking the Patreon link in the episode notes, and there you will find a multitude of ways that you can help for as little as $1 a month. This helps to keep making The Melt better, pay the bills, and help to make this podcast my full-time job that I can fully devote my time to and give you more content. Another way of helping would be by going to wherever it is that you subscribe to The Melt and give it a favorable review or rating that will help to get it out to more people. And lastly, if neither of those options are readily available, simply send your good thoughts and intentions. In an interconnected and quantumly entangled multiverse, these also go a long way. Thank you.